Next up, we have Zenith Minerals talking about their gold projects both in Queensland and Western Australia. And they are being very active on the ground. Joining me today is their Executive Director and CEO, Mick Clifford. ASX code, I don't know if I said it, ZNC. Mick, exciting times for you guys. Tell us all about Zenith Minerals.
Thanks very much, Kerry. Thanks for your time today, and hello to all the listeners out there. So, look, we're very active period for Zenith at the moment, and probably the most active period of the company's 13-year life. We usually don't like to dwell on title slides, but the real take home from Zenith at the moment is we've got 12 drill rigs active over the current period, and if we conclude September through to December across our core projects, and assays outstanding or awaited of about 45,000 metres of drilling. That includes some of the drilling going on by one of our joint venture partners on a zinc discovery, but a lot of work being done on our projects in Western Australia and Queensland. So particularly, as we're talking at a gold conference, we've got three really great opportunities in Zenith and spread across the eastern states and Western Australia. So maybe if I just touch on a brief summary of these, and then I can go into a little bit more detail on each of the opportunities. So Split Rocks is in Western Australia. It's about halfway between Perth and Kalgoorlie. We've been working on this target for some years. It's a 3 to 5 kilometre long shear zone in the greenstone belts, getting some really stunning results. The highlight number there of 32 metres at 9 grams per tonne, but also really good solid hits in the oxide transition and the bedrock over that interval. We've got programs underway with 3 rigs, or planned for 3 rigs. And we've got 150 holes that we've just completed, which we're waiting on assays for.
Is that some of the 45,000 metres of drilling that you've done as part of that Split Rocks and Red Mountain? Where are those assays? Are they across all the projects?
Yeah, really across all of the projects. About 6,000 metres of assays awaited there for Split Rocks. Red Mountain, we're wanting to get the diamond drill rig back here to test a really outstanding geophysical target that we've worked up adjacent to our recent discovery on the western high-grade gold zone. And again, some really attractive results, 13 metres at 8 type numbers from surface. The 2 rigs there, we've had 2 rigs running for quite some time. They're actually up on one of our other projects as we speak today. But as mentioned, keen to get the diamond rig back there before Christmas. And then we've also got a third gold project called Cowarra. Zenith is earning into this project by putting some money into a private company called Oxley Resources. And we really think this is a really outstanding opportunity in south of Canberra in New South Wales. Looks very, very similar to the upper portions of the Fosterville gold mine. That a lot of investors are certainly in love with at the moment. And kicking off with some confirmatory drilling, which the permitting is going through at the moment. There's a chance that work will get underway before Christmas, but actually might spill into early next year.
When you say it's a Fosterville style deposit, for those of you that don't know, Fosterville has got to be one of the highest grade gold mines in the world, isn't it, Mick?
Well, certainly up there in probably in certainly top 10, I would think. Look, I visited Fosterville quite so many years ago when I was working for one of the gold majors, and we assessed that project at the time, looking at the upper portions of Fosterville, what had been mined out. We certainly didn't recognise at that particular time any of the deeper high-grade gold opportunity that's come out in recent years, unfortunately. But look, this Cowarra project, the upper portions of Fosterville and this project have a lot of similarities. similar style of sulfide arsenic lodes for our project, the one we're entering into. Ours is not refractory, so that's another big attractive aspect of this one. I can go into a bit more detail as we go forward.
Yeah.
If we just touch on some of the corporate structure, the company was listed in 2007, so it's 13 years old. And one thing I like to point out is the number of shares on issue at 323 million shares. That's pretty tight. Wow. That's 13 years old. So we've never had any reconstructions or consolidations. So it really shows that the directors have taken good care of making sure that shareholders haven't been diluted over the history of this company's life. The share price graph is a pretty interesting one. Really highlights the impact that zinc discovery at Erahides had on.
That's what that is.
That really big jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're really looking to take that now to the next level with all the activity that's going on across the projects. We've got a good level of cash. We raised a couple of months ago at around about 21.5 cents. We've got 6.2 million in the bank as at the end of September. And in addition, we've got around about 8 million in equities, listed equities. Some of the non-core projects we've divested over the last couple of years has resulted in us holding several listed companies or shares in those listed companies, and that's essentially money that we can get hold of if we in lieu of potentially another cap raise. So perhaps we just go into a little bit more detail on the project. Split Rocks, as I mentioned, in Western Australia. This is around about a 10 million ounce district if we include the mines over at Edna May, those up around Marvel Lock, the historic Bounty operation as well to the south of us. And our tenement holding here about 700 square kilometres, so not insignificant in area. And the focus of our activities up in the northeast there on the western margin of what they call the Parker Dome, which is the granite blob off to the right of our tenement portfolio, and 18 kilometres of strike. And we've had about 18 targets that we've been systematically working through, and we've got still about 8 targets left to test. And as I mentioned, we've just recently completed a large air-core drill program of about 150 holes, and we're waiting on the assays for all of those holes. I would say we should start to see some of those coming in towards the end of this month and early in December. Hopefully all those in before Christmas. We've also got follow-up RC and diamond drilling already planned, and then I guess those programs will be expanded once we get the results in from that air-core program. So look, we're really pushing here towards hopefully a maiden resource in first quarter next year for this project.
How big did you say that project was? Did you say 700 square K?
Yeah, 700 square kilometres. So yeah, really good package to be hunting in.
And you've only done a very small area. If I can just ask you, Mick, what are the plans? You know, you've done the air holes. I know that you're coming to present at the actual gold conference in February. What sort of news, apart from the assays that are going to come back and you're pushing towards that maiden resource, when are you expecting that maiden resource, and what sort of news flow between now and February can investors hope to hear from?
Yeah, really, I think the major thing is the drill results that'll be stemming from this core program, the follow-up RC program that we'll be doing, and the diamond drilling. We've already completed some preliminary metallurgical test work on this material, and that has come back with really positive results. We released those to market a few months ago, and very good recoveries, low reagent costs. So really standard Archean greenstone processing technology. So nothing out of the ordinary there. The other aspect that we didn't mention here is there's a couple of leases in the northern portion where we have a right to the mineralisation below 6 metres. And the reason that is that there's actually an existing operation mining the laterites in this area. So our partner, who owns the top 6 metres, is mining on granted mining leases those laterites and heap leaching those at this point. So in addition to the main leases that are under mining lease, we've now applied for an additional 2 to cover off on both laterite and what we hope to see is some of the resources that we will potentially generate being on those granted leases. So potential to maybe fast track this project, given the fact that granted mining lease is in place already.
Yeah, that's a big tick.
If I can just introduce Red Mountain now, so over to Queensland. The project is situated about halfway between Evolution's Mount Rawdon operation and Eris's Krakow project. And this is a breccia pipe target. You can see on the left-hand side there on the diagram, the breccia is actually outlined in the grey and white hatch. So a circular feature. At the core of this is a red blob. Looks a bit like a heart.
It does actually.
It's the isosurface of the magnetics. So we did some very detailed drone magnetics over this project. In addition, we did some really high quality 3D induced polarization. So that's a technique that a geophysical technique that allows us to look for the disseminated sulfides and clay alteration that may be associated with the gold and the copper in this target. And we've been working on the small purple zone on the left-hand side here, which is the western grade or the high-grade western gold zone. So spectacular numbers that we've been getting out of this maiden discovery include the 13 at 8 from surface. So that was the first hole that we ever drilled into this prospect.
Oh.
Surface soil samples were going about 2 grams per tonne. So it wasn't exactly rocket science where to line the rig up, but really pleased with the results. And we've been tracking that zone plunging off to the north.
Mick, whereabouts in Queensland is Red Mountain?
Yeah, so really inland from Bundaberg, if anyone's familiar with the Monto region, the small town of Monto, we're west of Monto. So well located, grazing properties, and a history of mining, gold mining in the area with those 2 operations in place at the moment.
It's kind of a difficult, if you're not a geologist, if you're just looking at going, as an investor, what am I looking at? I mean, the magnetic anomaly, you said, look, it looks like a red heart. What is it about this that makes you think, you know what, this could be very, very good for Zenith Mineral shareholders or future shareholders? What is it about Red Mountain that gets you going?
Yeah, Kerry, a really good question. And I think this project is analogous to the Mount Wright gold mine that was mined some years ago by Resolute, and that mine produced around just shy of 1 million ounces at 2 grams per tonne from an underground base. And really looking at the geology of this breccia pipe and that at Mount Wright, there are a lot of similarities between the 2. So, we see that that the target that we've been testing and Mount Wright, which has had a lot of research done on it over the years, allows us to formulate a really solid drill target here that, what do you want to continue testing. So a lot of the gold mineralisation at Mount Wright started only 200 metres below surface and then extended to some 1 kilometre at depth. And as I mentioned, that was a really robust, high-value project for the company. So, in using the information and the knowledge gained from that deposit, we're now applying it to Red Mountain. And so follow-up holes here are planned pre-Christmas to test that red magnetic anomaly in the core, and also to put some holes deeper down, keep tracking that high-grade Western Gold Zone. So it's likely that those assays from this work will spill into next year, given the relatively slow turnaround at the labs at the moment.
Yeah.
So moving on to now Cowarra in New South Wales. As mentioned, Zenith has the option to put a initial investment into Oxley Resources, an unlisted public company. And the very similar in age and style to those other deposits in the Lachlan origin, such as Ballarat, Bendigo. We mentioned Fosterville before, Woods Point. That Lachlan origin, of course, as you can see in the map in the top left-hand corner, extends right throughout Victoria and goes off through into New South Wales.
Okay, got it.
And what we have here is some historic workings, and of all companies, BHP mined at the Victoria lodes back in the 1940s with a conventional processing facility, and that you can see in the old photo in the bottom left. So what do we have is about a 5 kilometre long target zone, shear hosted gold arsenic association, historic shallow underground workings, and historic carbon and pulp standard processing for this gold. And of course, that means that it's not refractory, unlike the upper portions of Fosterville. So high-grade results from previous drilling, historic drilling included 35 metres at 2.3. And in looking at this target, we really are now having a think about this in terms of its potential for open pit mineralisation. A lot of the previous work had looked at very much the narrow high-grade portions only, but what we're seeing is that there seems to be a significant lower grade halo surrounding those high-grade hits. And we think that there's good open pit potential at targets like Victoria in particular. So, sorry, Kerry?
1 minute to go.
All right, sure. So targeting here and drilling, well, targeting is done, and drilling's planned over the next 4 months, and drilling into Victoria, as well as some initial drill holes up at the JMT, which stands for John Murray's Tunnel, where there's 2 kilometres of strike with 75 rocks that averaging 6 grams per tonne. So a really outstanding target that we want to go and see drill tested. So
my favourite slide.
And have a look at our projects in the life cycle. We've done a hell of a lot of work to bring these particular gold targets right through to advanced projects, where we're now in a major drill testing phase. So we sort of see them at the sort of early in the speculation stage, where, some significant results on any or all of these targets will really potentially put a rocket under Zenith. So
time to watch this
take
space.
home from us.
Yeah, I was going to use the same analogy. Put a rocket under it. Excuse me. It's been a long day. Mick, it's been great to see you. We're out of time, but we'll see you in the Zoom networking meeting later today. Really appreciate your time, ladies and gentlemen. Please thank Mick Clifford from Zenith Minerals. Cheers, Mick.
Thanks very much, Kerry.